let's talk about some teams in LEC, mate. Fuck it, let's talk about the LEC.
Sure.
So one thing I do want to talk about is let's do it. Let's do the Vitality discussion, because as we said, they won't be being talked about for the rest of this split, but they might. In fact, if you look at it, I noticed Dom was the only one who could do this, because in the modern day,
no one can do math.
Is a knuckle-dragging cretin who can't even understand concepts. Like, they still keep repeating, by the way, that the number of scenarios, that graphic, is the probability that you get through. One, do you really think Riot, who can't seed whether Cloud9 is better than T1, are actually telling you on a graphic that they've run a computer model predicting who can make it through and their chances? No. What they've done is show you the number of possible worlds, like the fucking Doctor Strange scenario, in which you get through. So actually, when it's like 96%, it's like, that's not at all, you cretin. In fact, in some of those games, logically on paper, Vitality was way better than like a 6% chance to win them, you moron. Think about it. But as Dom pointed out, they can't, they did this last split as well, they can't do the basic championship point calculation. They just go like, it's actually impossible for Vitality to make it, because, and then you look, and it's actually like mad likely they will. Like, if you look at who has to finish above and who's not likely to, there's actually a pretty solid chance they will make it. So obviously, let's get the Vitality thing out the way now, since we won't be talking about them until the championship finals if they make it. So, right, Dom, I said it earlier, but I'll say it again. Even though I will just point this out, without going into why, you'll see in the rest of the video, because obviously I'm protecting the guest here. This is a fact, a provable fact. Over a large sample size, I consistently win betting on esports, both League of Legends and CSGO. It's a fact, I can prove it to you. But with that said, what betting taught me about life is this. I am very shrewd when I bet, and I wait for the right odds and I wait for the right spots before I bet. On these shows, we're just presenting opinions, and some of them you throw out there. Some of them is what you want to happen. It's idealized. It's trying to think like, well, no one else is going for this angle, so if I pick it, then if it works out, I get all the credit. Like me and Dom say about the buying into perks at the low stock, in case he spikes next year, and we can say we told you so. So I will say some of my opinions have been so goated trash, it is almost impossible to be worse. Like, for example, if you thought it was bad in 2015, where I famously said that Fnatic lost the offseason, that team won the 2 splits and went top 4 worlds. And I also said Roccat won the offseason, they never even made playoffs. But it's even worse than that. I actually, this year, for winter split CL, I had Excel as my number 1 team, last place. For this split, I had Vitality as my number 1 team, last place. But that just shows you, it's like the famous saying they say, opinions are like arseholes. Everyone's got them, and they all stink. Not that I've checked it out. I haven't actually verified if that's facts or not. I believe it's just a statement out there. So let's start with Vitality. Come on, Dom. Give me the Vitality. I'm ready now. I've been in denial for a long time, Dom. I've hit rock bottom. You have to understand. They were 3rd place last split, Dom. I finally hit rock bottom. I know I've got a problem. So come on, bring me through this.
I'll tell you when I knew it was over for Vitality. On the 2nd day of week 2, after Vitality lost, and they were 1-4. Thorin tweeted out, well, if Vitality can just make groups that can buy them so much time. As soon as I saw that tweet, I was like, it's fucking over. They're going 1-8.
Exactly, I know. It's like,
I'm like, he's coping so hard. it was impossible for me to see that shit. So when I saw that, I'm like, it's fucking over for Vitality. Just write them off. I mean, they just looked so broken. Just the way that they were throwing every single game. I mean, like the fucking Nocturne game. Wait, who was the Nocturne game first? I don't even remember. Oh, I think it was a starlust, bro. I don't even remember who they're playing against. I just remember them throwing, like the Heretics game. Somebody had to remind me of that. It's just like, I remember the throw bot. I remember the throw top lane. I remember Bo running it down on Maokai. And
even
the team obviously
at the very end blew that one too.
Yeah, they blew the game versus BDS that actually mattered. I mean, they throw every single game. And I think the most damning part is that Douglas came in and played well. Like, I thought Douglas played pretty well. Like, he didn't play perfectly, but he played good enough where the players were actually advertised, and it was Bo's fault they would have won. But this shows that it's like, yeah, there's a problem with all the players. And then also, like, Perkz just hasn't looked good the whole split. He's just looked so bad the entire split. And I don't know. It's very hard to watch a player like that.
That's not the accurate. He's never been good. He was always a fraud. And in fact, even when he was like winning tournaments and in like MSI finals and Worlds, he was actually this bad then. And you just wouldn't admit it, Dom. What? Yeah. Will you fucking be
just admit you were wrong.
Exactly.
Why don't you just admit you're wrong?
Admit you were wrong about every championship Perkz ever won. He was never the GOAT. He was always worse than like fucking Larson. There you go.
That's my favorite. Admit you were wrong. It's like, like when I admit I'm wrong, I'll say it like in passing. I'm like, yeah, I was wrong about that. But they like want you to be like,
Dude, my favorite.
I'm such a fucking idiot, man. I'm so stupid. Like they want you like some like I apologize. I'm so fucking sorry for what I did. Like they want some crazy like meltdown.
My favorite ones when they go one notch up and they go, say sorry, apologize, and admit you lied. And it's like, no, that's accurate. What? Like, it was just an opinion. Like, holy shit. Like, anyway, yeah, whatever. Go on.
Yeah,
go on.
It's just the problem with Vitality is they're so much worse than the sum of their parts, and like now and it started with like, oh, that's a throw, but they played well for most of the game, and then now it's gotten to the point where it's like, do they all suck? Like, do you all just fucking suck now? Like, what is this? And I hate watching a team like Vitality collapse, because one thing that I was saying, and one thing that I really appreciate about LPL is that the bottom teams still like they have some pride. They have some pride for like themselves as players and their job. Like they're being paid to perform. So you go out there and you perform even if things are going tough. But it felt like Vitality, they just gave the fuck up. Like that last game versus XL, they're like, yeah, whatever. I mean, we're already 10th place anyway. Like we can't get ninth even, so it doesn't matter. You play Germany,
so I guess pride's over. Keep going.
Okay, all right. Anyways, I'm not going to touch that one. So
all right, all good.
So they just run it down. It's like even like when you watch today, like TT versus EDG, I was watching it with Gilius, and I was like, and I told him, I'm like, I think TT is going to come out and compete. Even though they're pretty much eliminated, they're 2-9. They come out, they compete. And then you see like when they win the series. It's a hard fought 3-game series. Gillies said that they were mass murderers. There was like 130 kills in like a 3-game series. He's like, you have to be like a serial killer to win a fucking game in LPL. They finish, and like Yukal's like jumping up. He's doing the gorilla. He's beating on his chest. He's like hugging his jungler. He's fucking pouring out champagne. He like got a girl from the stands, like made out with her. Like he was doing crazy shit. Like,
celebration. Yeah,
yeah. He had a fucking insane celebration. It's like they still like care. They show some passion, and it's like you look at Vitality, and they just look like beaten dogs. They look like so like they like don't want to make eye contact, or they're like, oh, get the camera off me. Like I don't want you to see me. Like where's the pride? Like go out there and fucking show that you're not dog shit. Like you're 10th place with this roster. And it's like they just don't have any fire left in them. So I don't feel bad flaming them, because it's like you don't even care about yourselves. Like why should I care about you guys as a team?
Well, nothing you say now, CL, could be worse than what Dom just said. So what do you think about Vitality?
Oh boy.
By the way, one thing I would like to ask initially is this. Is it true that actually before this split in scrims, they were really good and people did think they were good team?
Yeah, they were good. I mean, like, look at their players. Like, for example, I think if Bo went to a Chinese-speaking team right now and he hadn't had that whole fiasco, do you really think that he'd be bad? I mean, it's a bit absurd to even say, no?
Like his performance, it's implied, right, that they just lost faith in him and forced him on Palpy and Maokai, right?
I mean, the fact of the matter is, I mean, there's a lot of things to talk about, but I mean, the main thing for me is this: the sum of all parts does not actually always equal the sum of all parts. I mean, certain pieces need to go well together. Certain pieces need certain other pieces. For example, Upset may need a jungler that can be bot. Right? Quite often they're not. And if you have a carry jungler, there's only so much resources inside the game. So how much can Perk sacrifice? How much does that fit inside the meta? And so when you actually look at, I mean, the whole narrative behind super teams don't work is actually like really, I think.
JDG is just doing terrible. I'm telling you.
JDG is doing terrible. T1's done really terrible. Bad. 2014, Samsung's done terrible. There's G2 has done terrible in 2019, 2020. The truth is, and something that I learned as a coach, and after this, I kind of told myself, what the fuck do I know about coaching? From Peter Dunn was, you need to find the right pieces inside a team, and these pieces need certain things. And it might sound like common sense, but it's actually not an easy task. I mean, the off-season is probably one of the most difficult things to do. So really, when they constructed this team, and they brought in Upset, why do they look worse than when they had Neon? The question, I mean, the answer is very simple, right? It's that they need a different type of jungler, and they might need a different type of playstyle. But if it goes this late into the season, then there's a lot of other factors involved, including losing confidence, including like getting frustrated. So, I mean, I think this Vitality roster was probably some sort of like an implosion. But I really hope to see like some top like carry jungles being played, and maybe Upset showing a different side of his gameplay, because he is traditionally like a strong side player, which is a good thing, right? So yeah, I mean that's my opinion of Vitality. But at the same time, I want to touch on the culture thing. When you talk about European culture, I mean, absolutely, when you look at the Asians, like you work 20 hours a day, it's not enough, right? And I'm not saying that's healthy, and it's not. And I'm not saying that I'm agreeing. I can't agree with it either, because obviously, like, if I were, I'd be a fraud as a coach, right? Because I mean, I have to think about people's mentalities and all of this stuff. But I think we are at a stage where a lot of the Western leagues are suffering from like a lack in competitive mindset and a lack in passion. People just do it for the money now because there is so much money. And the difference between Europe and China, for example, is in Europe. I mean, we talked about swapping rosters between spring and summer and all this stuff, right? You can't actually fire someone like that anymore. It doesn't work like that. A lot of these players have non-bench rates, which means that if you pay a player $50,000, whatever happens, even if you bench them, that budget is now gone.
As far as I know, from what I was told, this is why they've never considered actually getting rid of Humanoid from Fnatic. Like, his contract's enormous, and you just may as well play him with getting paid anyway, you know.
So why do you think Selfmade is not playing in LEC right now? Like, part of the reason he didn't pursue anything is because when you have a contract like that, it's better to sit on the bench and take the money from your contract. And some people like do get like their rates cut. But if you're getting 50% cut to literally do nothing, like you get hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, as opposed to like, you know, let's say hypothetically, this is not pertaining to Selfmade. Let's say hypothetically you're making $500K a year, and then you get benched and you're still making $250K to do nothing for an entire year. Like, everyone's going to take that.
Here's the irony, right? Of course, that's a problem in Europe because there are human rights and labor laws. But what the fuck is wrong with North America? If you literally if they want to fire you in North America, the day after you've lost your job and you don't get paid anymore. That's how it works. At max, you pay, I think, like a 3-month severance. And for like a 2-year contract, it's nothing. You do it in Europe, you get sued.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.